we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I feel like it being so close is going to distract me. So, that's so dangerous. But at least my steering wheel's not in the way now. Yay for technology! Okay, so I am going to the doctor today because of my hand. I have 9 stitches in between my finger, my pinky and ring finger. So I thought I would tell you a story of the worst date ever. So, because I'm sure nobody wants to hear about my miserable tales about going to school, which is probably not going to happen anyway. Just a little update for you. Not this semester anyway, but that'll be for the next one. This one, okay, so I hate to admit this, but I made like an online dating profile. I'm not going to say which one I used. I mean, even though most people who know me know which one I used. But anyway, so I made one, and I actually met my ex-boyfriend on there, and we dated, for a long time. And then when we broke up, I got back on. I was like, oh, whatever. So I not met this guy. Anyway, he messaged me on there, and we kind of like talked back and forth for a while, just like kind of casual, and he seemed really cool. Like, he was a Christian, and he was talking about like his family, and he had a good job and like a car. I mean, yeah, just he kind of had it together. So he seemed like a really good guy. So eventually we exchanged numbers and we texted, some, and he called me a few times, and the conversations were pretty good. Like, like I said, I mean, he seemed like he is a really good guy. He's pretty cool. I'm not gonna knock him. Not yet, anyway. So I feel bad, but it's funny, sort of. Like, it's a little irritating, but it's fine. Anyway, I'm getting myself off track. Okay, so we exchanged numbers, we were texting, talking on the phone. He seemed pretty cool. So he asked me if I would like to get together and like go out or something. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. That seems like a good idea. It was not a good idea. So he lives in Raleigh, and I probably should not say where we live. Anyway, there's a little bit of distance, so we decided to meet halfway. And so we met. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was like, well, I have some time before I go to work and stuff. So we met halfway. We were gonna have lunch and do whatever. So we meet, and it was a little awkward at first, but that's how these things are. I just noticed this thing is shaking really bad, and it's falling. What the heck? Like, oh, is my hair okay? No, it's not okay. It's never okay. Also, I have this one, like, Farrah Fawcett curl trying to hang down in front of my face, and the rest of them have, like, fallen. So, that's fun. Anyway, so we meet halfway, and it's kind of awkward at first. And I noticed you know how, like, when you talk to somebody on the phone or texting, you still can't really get a good vibe. Or maybe, like, just texting. On the phone, you have a little better idea. But I thought, well, maybe it's just like he's nervous, because he sounded a little dry. And so I was like, well, maybe just like in person it'll be better. It was not better. So I was like, he's, and the thing is, he's not a bad person. We just are not a good match, I mean, for somebody who's a little more toned down and just kind of like more easygoing than somebody who's like a stressed out squirrel like I am, he'd be perfect, just not for me. Because even like while we were at lunch, I was just like thinking in my head like, this doesn't feel like a good match, like, just because he was not lively at all. He was very like kind of monotone, and I mean, it was just like, okay, wow. So anyway, we eat, and then after there was like this museum thingy, like in the town. It was like an old, what was I trying to say? Anyway, there was like this, it was like one of those like old historical buildings that they turned into like a little museum. So we were gonna go there. Well, we had to drive across town to get there. So he was like, do you want to ride with me? And I was like, yeah, sure, that'd be fine. Oh wait, we were already riding together because we were together to the restaurant. That's how that happened. Because the restaurant we first met up was closed, so we decided to go to a different one. Anyway, so we are on the way to the museum, and this is when the excitement starts, because I know you're thinking, okay, this just sounds like a really boring date. Oh no, it gets better. So we're going, and we have to go. We're going. We're passing through an intersection, and all of a sudden, out of the freaking blue, this person runs the stop sign, and I'm in the passenger seat. Oh, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, we're hitting, and I like brace myself. He slammed on brakes, and we hit them in the, like, I shouldn't have done that because I hit my stitches and it hurt. We hit them like in, not like T-bone, but like in the back end of like the trunk corner. Does that make sense? So we hit them, but it was their fault because that bitch ran the stop sign. And so I threw my hands up, you know, like in just like reaction. And the airbags, both airbags busted. The one in front and on the side. So it like hit me in the head like that. And I was like, it kind of knocked me out for a second. Because when I came to, like, I realized what happened. There was smoke everywhere. And this is exactly what happened. I'm sitting there and I look down and there's freaking blood everywhere. I mean, like, all in my lap, on the floor. My hand is like bleeding. And this bozo goes, I don't have a license right now. I don't have a license right now. And like, he leaps out of the car. I didn't tell my mom this, by the way. So Mom, if you're watching, I'm sorry. So he says that to me, and I'm telling you, he freaking leaps out of the car, and I'm sitting there. There's smoke everywhere. I'm bleeding, and I'm like, should I get out? I'm bleeding because the smoke, my thought was, oh my God, the car is gonna freaking blow up. So the car does not blow up, but I managed to get the door open, and I look down, and my hand is like split open, like gushing blood. It's almost gone, my pinky, and I'm like, oh my God, help me. And so there was a lady that pulled over. She saw the whole thing, and she like come running over, and she called 911. She was so sweet, and she was like, what do you need? And I was like, I don't know, I'm bleeding, help me. So she grabs a towel out of her car, and I'm holding it, and she actually left. I was like, I wish you would have stayed, because she was really nice. But so and he's like, and he goes, Jessica, are you okay? And I'm like, well, who the hell is Jessica? My name is Emily. So I'm sitting, and at this point, I'm like shocked, and I'm upset, and I'm bleeding, and I just got called Jessica by the most boring date I've ever been on. And so my first thought is, I need to call like my mom. And then I was like, oh my God, I met this guy online. I cannot call my mom because she's gonna freak out and I'm gonna be in trouble. I'm 24, by the way. So I called my best friend, and I knew she was doing stuff that day, but I was so, like I'm telling you, I was so wigged out. And I was like, I need you. I was in an accident with this guy, because she knew I was on the date. And I was like, we were in an accident, I'm okay, but I hurt my hand and I need to go to the hospital, and I don't want to call Mama because I don't want to have her freaking out on me. And she was like, okay, let me figure this out real quick. And so she hung up, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was like, reality was starting to hit, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital. I don't want to, you know, I was like, I just like called my mom. I was like, I don't know what else to do. Because Bozo the clown didn't offer to like, I mean, his car was messed up anyway from the wreck. But, I mean, he didn't have any like solution or anything. He wasn't like, let's get in the ambulance and go to the hospital. So I called my mom and I was calm. I was like, Mom, please don't freak out. I was like, I'm okay. I'm just a little beat up. Like, I was on a date with that guy I told you about. We were in an accident. I need to go to the hospital and get stitches in my hand. And, you know, I was trying to be calm because I didn't want her to, like, freak out on me or freak out in general. And she was like, okay. She was like, okay, it'll be all right. I'm on the way. And I was like, okay, thank you. But it was still, like, an hour away. So, I had to wait for her. And anyway, in the meantime, at the scene of the accident, I saw the EMTs got there and they kind of bandaged up my hand and they were like, since you refused to go with us, and then I was like, they were like, it's expensive to ride an ambulance. And I was like, oh, I can't afford that. And I was like, no, I'll sit right here and wait for my mama. Which I didn't know that the person responsible for the wreck would pay the medical bills because I would have went on, but, you know, whatever. So I wait for my mom bandaged up, and then he tells me, he was like, I'm really sorry, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. He was like, I did not mean to call you my ex-girlfriend's name. He was like, I was just so nervous. And I was like, well, thanks, I guess. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I can understand. And then I'm thinking back to the whole license thing. I'm like, what is going on with that? So then he proceeds to tell me that he was like, I don't actually know if it's suspended, which sounds shady. So he was like, I was a couple like weeks ago or something, he was like, I was in an accident with the company, like a work truck that he was driving, which really doesn't sound good either. So he's like, I was in an accident then, and there was like some paperwork issues with the DMV, and then like they said if I didn't get something about the DMV, like would suspend his license if such and such happened. I don't actually remember the details, but the story sounded legit because that happened to me one time when I got into the wreck that I was responsible for a while back. Like, my paperwork took too long to get to the courthouse, and they suspended my license without even telling me. So I was like, okay, well, I understand that. I mean, you could have told me that before I got in the freaking car with you in the first place. But I digress. So it's not over yet. There's still a little bit more if you're still hanging on with me. So they get the information like switched, whatever they had to do. I was just kind of standing off by the side, like tapping my foot. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm ready to go. So he was gonna wait he asked the cops to give him a ride to his car. Him, not me. He was, to like home, not to his car, home. And the cops wouldn't do it. I don't know why, but they were like, no, we can't do that. So he called a ride, and he was waiting on them. So the kids were picked up by their parents, because the girl driving the other car was literally like 16. So we're waiting. The firehouse was actually right there on the corner where we were, the fire station. So we were waiting over there on the steps, for our rides. And so we were making small talk, and I was just trying like to calm down and like be cool about everything. And he was like, I don't know, he said a couple things. I was just like, bro, I don't want to be mean right now because I know your car just got messed up, but this is not going to work out, okay? And he said something about like, I know I'm not going to get a second date. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right about that. But, so then we're waiting, and his ride got there first. And I don't know how much I got in the last one because it cut off. But, so anyway, his ride got there first. We're standing there waiting. And his ride got there, and he was just like, all right, my ride's here. Peace. And I was like, okay, bye. Like, I'll just wait here in the middle of nowhere. And then he goes, oh, like an afterthought, he was like, did you want me to wait for your mom to get here? And I was just like, no, if you need to go, you just go. And he goes, well, I don't want to keep so-and-so waiting. You almost made me lose my hand, and you don't want to keep somebody waiting. What? And I was like, just get out of here. Because at that point, I was just kind of irritated. And when I'm irritated, I'm like, get away from me or I'm going to explode. So he just leaves. And I'm just standing there. And I'm like about in tears. I was all freaked out. And I called my friend. And I was like, which is actually my ex-boyfriend, Sean. I was like, oh, it's just a wreck. I was so upset and emotional. It was quite embarrassing. And my mom was only a few minutes away, but when I got there, my mom was like, where is he at? Because my sister brought her up so that we could go get my car afterwards. And I was like, his ride came and he left. And she was fuming. So we found our way to the hospital. And long story short, nothing was broken or torn, like, in my hand. I just had to have some stitches to stitch it back up, which that was a God moment because we hit so hard and it tore, like, I mean, you can't see it because it's bandaged up, but it tore at like the perfect angle to not hit anything. So if you think you've had a bad date, I can relate because that was pretty messed up. And then he like tried to get up with me afterwards and make like chummy conversation, and I was like, bruh, I'm so sorry. And like I said, I mean, he's a really good guy. The accident wasn't his fault. I mean, how he handled it was kind of like questionable, but I'm sure he'll find him a nice monotone gal. Just not me. Sorry. Okay, well now I'm going to have lunch with my mom, and I'm going to the doctor for this. Hopefully I can get these stupid things out today. So, anyway. Okay, thanks for listening.